What? Smoking all my dragons, divine, righteous, almighty, greats, overachieving, never slacking. Now, the lighting where I'm at is not very good. I actually had to go buy like some little small ring light. And, it's still kind of dark, but it's just not too bad, right? With that being said, we are taking it to Windsor Castle. This is a tour. This is the Queen's Royal Residence England travel ideas, right? So we're gonna hop right into it. Original link will be in the description. Here we go. We flying to England.
Ultimate Bucket List. And on today's show, I'm here. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Ultimate Bucket List. And on today's show, I'm here in Windsor Castle, the Queen's weekend residence. A lot of people will know that the Queen lives in Buckingham Palace in the centre of London. But she doesn't consider that her home. Buckingham Palace is officially her office, and she considers Windsor Castle, which is 23 miles west of London, her actual home. This is where she grew up, and this is where she prefers to spend her weekends. It's one of the most amazing castles you'll come across here in England, and lots of important things have happened here. Most recently, the wedding between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Most of the time, the Queen isn't in residence here, and you're free to pay for a tour of the place. My day starts here at Windsor and Eton Central train station, aka the Royal train station. And you can immediately tell that it's that because, well, the Royal train's on display, but also there are various signs that tell you so.
For a little savings,
Imagine growing up like that. Like there's nothing that you're ever gonna need for in this life. Ever.
Windsor Castle is pretty easy to find. You exit the train station and whoop, there it is. It's a massive, imposing castle. The camera angle really doesn't do it justice here. It is massive. With it being a royal residence, not only is it guarded by these guys, it's also guarded by these guys. So no misbehaving whilst you're here. The front of the castle has some excellent photo opportunities, and to go into the castle itself, you'll need to go into the visitors entrance right here on the corner. Even if you book in advance, the queue to get in is literally a mile long. Even though
It reminds me of Charlie and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when they were all waiting outside for Willy Wonka to come out. And then he like came out limping and then did his little act. But that's what this reminds me of when I see everybody kind of just waiting outside the castle.
though the members of staff here are very likeable and very friendly, sometimes you'll come across complete tools who also want to see the castle. You're ushered around the corner where you'll be security checked, airport style, before being allowed to enter the castle. And as soon as you walk in, you'll realise how big this place actually is. There's plenty of photo opportunities everywhere, because this is one of the nicest castles that you can visit here in England. The castle's history dates back almost 1,000 years, so there's plenty of history at every turn. Before you enter anywhere though, I highly recommend that you pick up an audio guide here on the left. It's available in many languages. When you get to a specific station, press on the button and it will tell you all about it. And yes, this is actually how you enter Windsor Castle. It's pretty damn amazing. So pay attention to the audio guide because you actually learn a lot about the castle, and ooh, look at these guys. They're actually on patrol today. Usually, they do a changing of the guard ceremony at 11 o'clock most days, but because of COVID-19, unfortunately, they've stopped doing that. The biggest tower here at Windsor Castle is the Round Tower. Unfortunately, because of COVID, they're not running any tours up there, but hopefully when you come round, this place will actually be open. Instead, have a walk around one of the Queen's gardens. It's actually quite pleasant to know that Queen Elizabeth enjoys walking around in her garden. Once you've walked around the Round Tower, you've got two options. You can either turn left to go into St George's Chapel, or right to go into the State Apartments. I decided to go left and visit St George's Chapel. This is the on-site church that's used for ceremonies, and was the venue for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding. So if you're a big fan of royals and royal weddings, this is quite a nice place to go. The courtyard itself, as you can imagine from being a royal resident, actually very nice, and boy, there's a lot of planes flying overhead today. I recommend spending some time in the courtyard because you'll see the Queen's Guards on display. Contrary to popular belief, they are allowed to move, and if you do bother them, they will retaliate. So don't be a typical tourist and try and bother them. They're there to do a job.
I hate how people even have the audacity to want to bother the Queen's Guard. Like, that is just disrespectful.
This isn't a bad view to stare at all day. Up the ramp you go and into St George's Chapel. As soon as you walk through the doors, you'll step into one of the nicest churches that you'll have ever seen. I mean, check out the detail in the ceiling. There's not a bad view anywhere in the church. It's ornately carved.
They could have shot that one hall where you have that hat that you'd put on the Hogwarts students' hats to figure out which house they would go to. They could have shot that right in this hall right here.
Very Gothic style, and the fact that this is frequented by the Queen herself is pretty amazing. Every single detail here in St George's Chapel is there for a reason. The coat of arms are there for a reason. And the audio guide does an excellent job in explaining what generally goes on in here. So the nicest part of St George's Chapel is this, the choir, where the choir sits and where the ceremonies happen. It looks like something out of a fairy tale. Most people would have heard of King Henry VIII, one of our most infamous and fattest monarchs. Well, he's buried literally right here, underneath this slab of stone, between both sets of choirs. Take your time to wander around St George's Chapel because it's probably one of the nicer churches or cathedrals that you'll have ever seen. By the way, the red doors here, that's the Queen's personal entrance into the chapel. Once you've finished with St George's Chapel, it's time to go around the corner and check out the state residences. If you do like your photography, you'll have no shortage of things to take pictures of here. At the moment, because of COVID, it takes a while to get in, but once you're in, there's interesting details everywhere. The first stop is the very famous Long Walk. As you walk around some of the residences, you'll find some very interesting things, like ornately decorated knight's armour, and you go up the stairs towards the Grand Vestibule. This is decorated with famous armour from former monarchs and famous weapons of various knights, which is pretty awesome. Part of the Grand Vestibule houses the statue of Queen Victoria, but it also houses some very interesting artefacts from around the world, so the audio guide tells you pretty much all about it. It's an immense room to start out in. This room, that looks like it's currently under construction, because it is the Waterloo Chamber. This acts like a de facto dining room for some of the royals, but it's also a meeting room for very important people. Currently they're renovating it, but this is what it should look like in general. The next stop is the Garter Throne Room. Windsor Castle is home to the Order of the Garter, the most exalted level of knighthood that you can receive in this country. And if you are awarded the Order of the Garter, it's done right here, with the Queen sitting in that middle chair there, and you being knighted in front of her. The throne room itself is incredibly impressive, and it would be amazing to be knighted in front of the Queen here. Throughout all of the rooms here at Windsor Castle, you'll notice that no detail and no expense has been spared in making this place look spectacular. It literally is fit for royalty. Next up is my favourite room of the entire castle. This is the State Dining Room, complete with coats of arms in the ceilings, various knight armours, and this is used as a state dining room to house royals from across the world. I mean, what a fantastic venue that you can have dinner in. Just look at the amount of detail here, it's absolutely incredible. This is easily one of the nicest royal rooms that I've ever been in, and I've been to quite a lot of castles, etc., but nothing is as nice as this. I've mentioned the Order of the Garter already in this video, and this is it. This is the highest honour that you can be bestowed by the Queen, and I think this is the Queen's actual Garter. You also get to visit the Queen's Presence Chamber and the Queen's Guard Chamber, which are equally as impressive. It's time to go back out to the Grand Vestibule, and I recommend that you stick around for about 5 minutes to examine literally everything, including the Queen's personal cutlery. Yes, this is the cutlery that she uses to entertain dignitaries.
These new menu items at Panera are...
You could literally just lose weight walking around there all day. Walking around that place is an exercise.
You then exit the building, where you'll exit out into the Queen's personal courtyard. And yes, it's guarded by the Queen's Guard, and yes, for some
Is there Quidditch too at this point?
some reason, jumbo jets are still flying over it. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to go into any other parts of the castle, but to be honest, after you've seen all of this, you're absolutely mesmerised by it all. Be sure to take a look at the Middle Ward gift shop before you hand back in your audio guide and exit out of the side of the castle. And if you want to check out some of the Queen's Guards again, you definitely can do that. And remember, no trying to make them laugh. Because believe it or not, if they're caught doing so, they get docked a week's wages, so please don't try and bother them. But not everything is old in Windsor. The town itself has modern amenities. It has a modern high street, and they've got modern eateries. And there's no shortage of places where you can buy typical souvenir tack, including this place with Mr. Bean in front of it for some reason. There's other cool things to check out, such as the Theatre Royal, the Guild Hall, and the Long Walk. I mentioned the Long Walk before, is where the royal procession happens and goes directly into Windsor Castle. But it's 3 miles long, and most of it is in public parkland, which you can actually walk along.
So behind me is Windsor Castle, and in front of me is this famous Long Walk. Now apparently it's about 4 kilometers long, which is about 3 miles. And you can walk to the end of it if you want to. Screw that.
But overall guys, I highly recommend a trip to Windsor Castle, especially if you like history, royalty, or you want something fun to explore and a nice day out away from central London.
Okay, Nin, I'm sold. What do I need to do? Well, you need to come here to Windsor Castle. It's situated in the town of Windsor, and to get here, you can either drive, there's plenty of parking, or take the train directly from London. I had to change at Slough this morning to get here, but Windsor train station is actually quite nice to have a look at. The cost to do the tour? Well, it costs about £23, and for that you also get this free cool audio guide, which I highly recommend. Is there anything else I need to know? Yes, they're very twitchy about photography here at Windsor Castle, so bearing in mind, no photography or videography in certain parts of the castle. And also, no droning here. You're in the direct flight path of Heathrow Airport, and you're at a royal residence that's heavily guarded. So there's no way that you absolutely get away with this. So, no droning, guys. But if you have enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, share and subscribe. Comment on the comment section below, and if you've got any other bucket list ideas you want me to check out, tweet them at me. If you get no suggestions, I'll go ahead and do that. So guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
That was an awesome tour of Windsor Castle. I know I switched it up a little bit here, guys, because I'm working and I wanted to switch rooms, go to a brighter room. So, just hopefully this is better. But honestly, I kept thinking, I'm surprised they don't got Quidditch at this point. There's so much in that castle. That 3-mile walk towards the end reminds me of a trail in my hometown that's literally about 3 miles, about 3 miles, roughly the same. I would walk that. Who wouldn't want to walk that and say, look, I walked 3 miles over there, and I would do that. Burn them calories, you can't lose. But outside of my health take, it was awesome. I mean, I wonder if the royal family ever gets bored, when you grow up like that and people coming from all around the world to look at that castle and look at how they live. And the whole time, it's like to them, they may. I'm really curious if they get bored of that because that's all they really know. You born into it, right? So things that people are looking at, like, wow, this is incredible. To them, it's just another day, right? But yeah. With that being said, it was definitely a very interesting castle. I'm sure there's rumors of haunted sections to that castle. I'm sure. Pretty much every castle that's old like that gonna have something haunted allegedly, right? So if you know anything about that, let me know in the comments. Just because I'd be interested in stuff like that. So yeah, I'm definitely curious. But with that being said, that was Windsor Castle Tour, the Queen's Royal Residence. Original link will be in the description, and I'll be back with more soon. Much love.